Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car is gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
Ladies and gentlemen,
the biggest name.
You're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaCombe, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, just past the 11 o'clock hour. Remember, new lineup here on the show, fired up, 10 to 2 every day with the coach, Tim LaCombe. You've heard Coach for years on sports radio here in Utah, one of the best dudes on the planet, and honored to be on the radio with you every day, my friend.
Well, I just absolutely say the exact same thing. I tell people all the time, they're like, how's your guy you're working with? The best.
Jackie.
The best. And then they say, how's the producer? And I'm like, even better.
See?
Even better. I've known him for a long time. He's an old pal. So, no, dude, this is day 4, but I pinch myself. I seriously do.
Yeah.
And you are seriously the man.
Well, you know what's fun about this, too, is you kind of get into a rut and it's not a rut. I mean, that sounds bad, but you kind of just go through the motions and to be able to kind of have a new, something new. It's fun, man. I'm having a great time.
Well, I am too, and you are the man.
All right, joining us now, former athletic director at Brigham Young University, Tom Holmoe, kind enough to carve out a few moments for us. Tom, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing today?
We're good. I'm just trying to navigate life with Tim LaCombe, which is honestly really cool. I know he was down there for a long time with you, but it's great to have Timmy aboard here.
Get a lot of sleep at night. He's got a ball. He's a full ball of energy.
I've got ADHD, don't I, Tom? I'm always on the move.
I remember, Tim.
I'm looking at a picture of you right now in one of your cool hats when you're on the sideline, man. One of those Papa hats.
Oh, yeah.
That's when I knew you were serious. That's when I knew it was when you were serious, when it meant business, when you had one of those Kangols.
I'm a California boy, and, that snow and water and rain and cold on my head is not good. So
you never quite got used to it, huh?
I started with hats a long time ago, and I'm sticking to it.
I love it. Hey, NFL draft coming up tonight, and I think a lot of people forget about the tremendous NFL career you had. Obviously, starting at BYU, going into the NFL, winning some Super Bowls as well. Do you remember what draft night was like for you as a player coming out of BYU?
Oh, yeah, I do. But, the story starts a little bit earlier than that. The year that I was eligible for the draft was the first year of the USFL draft.
Oh, okay.
And you remember that league back in the olden days, a long time ago. And I wasn't really even paying attention, and the phone rang at our apartment. My wife and I, we were just hanging around, and it was a person from the Boston Breakers of the USFL, and he said, "Tom, congratulations, we just picked you with like the fifth round." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm thinking, if I got picked in the 5th round of the USFL draft, what does that mean with the NFL draft? And so it was the Boston Breakers, and I just didn't know what to say. And he just said, "Way, we're so excited. We got a lot going on. We can't wait to get you back here. We'll have someone give you a call in the next day or so, and we'll work out everything. But get Coach on the line. We talk a little bit. Love to have you. We'll see you soon." I never heard another word from them. I didn't get a letter. I didn't get a phone call. I didn't get one thing. So when the draft for the NFL came, I'm thinking, I'm not even going to get drafted. But fortunately, I got a call from the Niners, and the rest is history.
A lot of people remember the 49ers and the offense with Bill Walsh, but defensively, you guys wrecked some dudes, and it was really fun to watch the evolution of that defense that sometimes may have been overshadowed by some guy named Montana, but what was special about that defense?
Well, it was great getting overshadowed, and I'd do it 1,000 times. It was in football, you definitely have the offense and defense, And sometimes in some teams and organizations, they don't really blend well together. You also have the special teams, which, for all intents and purposes, that was a big part of my staying in the NFL was playing on the special teams. But we had a defensive leader named Ronnie Lott, who it's just hard to explain how much he meant to the team. We had Joe and Jerry Rice and Roger Craig, and we had so many great players. But everyone on that team, when you got in that locker room, our motto was one heartbeat, and that's how it was. So when Joey was great, we were great. When Ronnie was great, the offense was great. And just to sit there and watch, and I remember this as clear as bell, and it came from being at BYU when McMahon played. Being on defense, I'd come off the field as fast as I could, get some water. Maybe the coach had something to say, but I'd want to watch McMahon play on offense. And that's how it was with the Niners. If you look at sideline photos, most of the defensive players, they didn't want to miss a thing watching Joe play.
Obviously, the catch stands in my mind as a Cowboys fan at the time. That was a little rough, but 1994, you were coaching the defensive backfield, and I'm just curious, being around the draft process as a coach in the NFL, what kind of input did you have, and did they draft a position player while you were there that you coached?
Tim, it's really different from what I expected. When I got the assignment to be the defensive back coach, I went in there, and one of the things they showed me on that first day that I really hadn't seen as a player was the draft room. And it's got this big wall and all the magnets and everybody. And so for the next, couple months, I just started studying all the DBs. And the 49ers did it a little bit different than other teams, but they had the coaches very much involved. So there were like 20 safeties and 20 corners that I had to be aware of. I had to know who they were, where their stance was, how I ranked them. And then about a month or so before the draft, you'd have to go into a room, and as a defensive back coach, I'd have to go toe-to-toe with the scout that had the DBs. And I would put up my list, and he'd put up his list in front of the president, the head coach, sometimes the owner, and the defensive coordinator to see what kind of work I'd done. It was mind-boggling to think how much time we put in. And then I was hoping like crazy that my list would match his. They were pretty close. I was only in that coaching position for 2 years before I went back to college. But during that period of time, I realized how much time, money, energy, and devotion goes into that draft. It's the blood, it's the lifeblood of every team is getting it right. And some teams do it great, and some teams are just average.
So when you see teams in the NFL that traditionally do very well in the draft and other teams that traditionally kind of whiff from year to year, I mean, does that come down to scouts? Does it come down to resources? I imagine it's probably a combination of everything, but it just seems like there are some teams that always, year in and year out, seem to get it right, and then others that seem to struggle.
Scotty, I can only speak from my experience with the 49ers, but those items that you mentioned, resources, yep, scouting, yep, but there's a couple other factors I think are important, and I think this goes from sport to sport. And one of them is this buzzword, this byword that everybody uses to define greatness, and that's culture. And so I know with the 49ers that when we had a list of the people that we wanted to draft, and we literally had a list of about 200 in order that we had put, like, this is who we want to draft. Each one of those players had been vetted to make sure that if we picked them, they would know how to do it the 49er way. And you're talking about a lot of effort. It's just like in recruiting, Tim. You can look at a kid that has great stats and looks good on film, and then you go to the school. In our particular case, you'd go to the college, and you start talking to people about the kid. And it depends on how far you dig to find out how much you need to know. But in college, in pro ball, That's a huge investment, but it's not just the money you invest, it's the future of that organization. So you've got to get it right with the fit. And I think that, Scotty, to answer your question, you can't win the Kentucky Derby on a mule. You have to have great players. But those great players that fit, we had a couple of kids that we drafted, not to be named, just a couple. We didn't miss very many. That when we got them there, it took a year. Within a year, you knew they weren't going to really – they were pretty good players. We'd get some trade for them, but they weren't going to be great for the future development of our team.
What was you mentioned the culture and the buzzword. I'm just curious, what were the non-negotiables when you were with the Niners in terms of, guys really talented, but like what was the non-negotiables for the culture?
Well, I mean, I think so much of it is not so the things that you can't do, it's the things that you do. And so, like, I think part of it would be, I'll give you an example, Ronnie Lott. Ronnie set the tone for playing hurt. And, that's not something that people are very comfortable talking about. It's not like the 49ers said, hey, you got to play. It was like we had players that would play when they were nicked up. And our head coach, Bill Walsh, and George Seifert, at the end of that's my last year, and then who I coached for, they were very grateful, and the team understood that to be great, you're not going to be able to play every game at 100%. Now, if you look right now, Tim, you look at professional athletes in all sports, they get a lot of days off. They don't play when they're hurt much because they're scared about what it's going to do for the future. Those were not concerns in those days. It was like the strength of the team was we're playing for each other. We're laying it out there. If I'm a little nicked up, we're going to go. Now, look, we had doctors. We had trainers. We made really good decisions as coaches. We kept people out when we had to. But we had players on our team that were not going to take a day off. If they were hurt, they'd be out. If they were sore or had some pain, then they're probably going to play. In our organization, we had kids that didn't want to practice or play when they're nicked. They weren't going to last very long.
All right, so before we get back into it, though, I got to have you, speaking of guys playing hurt, can you address the urban legend? Did Ronnie Lott really lop off the top of his finger to keep playing?
It's not an urban legend, it's truth. Now, you stretched it. You stretched it a little bit, Scott.
Okay.
Everybody does, man. You got to take it another little bit.
He didn't cut the finger off himself, but he had to sum it up, he had a very serious injury, and the option was take a lot of time off and miss the season or have a surgery where they amputate the tip of your finger. That's an example, Scotty, of a player on our team, the best player on our team, saying, you know what, I am the captain of our team, I'm the leader of our team, I'm the heartbeat of our team, I've made all the money, I'm all pro, I've got everything I've already accomplished, we've won a championship, but you know what, I play football. I play football for my team, I'm not going to take a seat. So when we watched him take that action and sacrifice his finger, for the rest of the team. You can't have like a little strain and feel like, I don't feel good today. I think I'm going to miss practice. That didn't happen. You did not see players missing practice. You see someone limp out there in their street clothes and, you just put out your little pinky, and that means Ronnie cut off his finger, get out here.
Yeah, you're like, you know what? My hamstring feels a little sore. And Ronnie's over there, you know what? I would like to feel my finger, but I can't because I kept playing. So get your butt out back there on the field.
In regards to Ronnie Lott.
That's just what it's all about, baby.
In regards to Ronnie Lott, I was at BYU. We had a recruiting visit. I was down on the field running around doing something or other. And around a bend, I hear my name. I turn around, and Tom's standing there with Ronnie Lott at Cougar Stadium. So I got a picture with him and got to meet him. I did not see the damaged pinky, however.
He keeps his hand in his pocket these days.
But as full circle can get, Ronnie Lott's, what do they call it, a Pop Warner coach in California was my uncle.
Oh my goodness
Really?
gracious!
Yeah,
That's a great,
my Uncle Gary, he had
that's a
pictures
great
of it. So
connection.
anyhow, pretty crazy. All comes full
You know,
circle,
like,
Tom.
but I'm going to come back to the draft. You know, the 49er way started in 1981, and that was the year that they drafted Ronnie Lott in the first round real early. And they drafted Ronnie, they drafted Eric Wright, a corner in the second round, and Carlton Williamson, a safety in the third round. And that was they had a free agent named Dwight Hicks that came in from Detroit, and they called that group Dwight Hicks and the Hot Licks. And that was the kind of the energy source, the heat source on the defense from the very beginning. To bring in a player like that, you know, and Ronnie Lott played basketball in college at USC. A lot of people don't know that, Tim. But the SC had got a couple players nicked up, and they knew he was a great athlete. So Ronnie played for part of that season, if not one full season, early in his career. That's how good of an athlete he was. But it wasn't about his finger. It was just about this guy loved the ball. He loved his teammates. He was an exceptional player, and he gave everything he had to that organization, and still to this day does. You'd be shocked to hear stories about Ronnie talking with current players, Ronnie talking with management. They love him because he's a part of that organization and will be forever. And that started in 81 with the draft.
Tom Holmoe, former athletic director at BYU, kind enough to join us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, are you kind of glad you're out of the game considering the world that college athletics is in right now?
You know, I'm not glad I'm out of the game. I got out at the right time for me.
Yeah.
And I think it's super complicated right now. And a lot of people, the first question they ask is, do you miss it? And the answer is no. I don't really miss the game. What I miss are the people. And I love the student athletes that we had. And, you know, I went back this year to football games and basketball games. And, you know, it's just because I retired doesn't mean that I'm going to sit in a lawn chair all day. I wanted to go see those guys play and those women play. And it's so fun for me. And I found that I don't have to be the AD to get such enjoyment out of watching spectacular competition from BYU student athletes. And I got it this year.
And I just want to echo, I worked a couple different places, but I was at Utah for a couple of years and I was just, you know, a support staff member, didn't have any kind of meetings or anything to do with the AD. I got the job at BYU. I'll never forget this. And I had probably had the job for about, you know, officially for about 15 hours. And my phone rang and Tom was calling me from Europe. He was in Europe. I don't know if you remember that, Tom, but you called me to welcome me to BYU. And then I kind of sat back and watched how Tom did his thing. And one thing that stood out, and he said people are it. He knew every single student athlete's name every single year on campus.
Wow.
So if he passed them, he knew their name. He talked to them. He made it about the people. And I am so, so glad to have had the opportunity to work with you, Tom. And I know big things are in your future, which we're excited about. But you always just be that football guy to me, man.
Well, Tim, I called you from Europe because you're part of our team, man. And, I mean, look to this day, how many years ago was that? It was a long time ago. And I just am a believer that, you know, life is about connections. It's about having people in your life that you love and that you can be happy with and you can find joy with doing things. And we had a lot of great times. And even though I'm not ADing and you're not coaching there, we're still talking.
We're still connected, my guy.
So
hey, I gotta ask too, because Lloyd and I are Raider fans, and we're excited about this first pick. What do you think of Fernando? Has he got the stuff?
Love him.
He's got the stuff.
I love the guy. I mean, when you talk about the fit, you know, he does it. I don't know if he's like the black hole people, you know. from what I've watched and what I know about the Raider organization, that's a rich tradition. Now, they haven't been great lately, but it doesn't take much. It just takes a spark to bring an organization like that knows winning. Hasn't been in a while, but they know how to win. And I love the coach that they got there. They're going to be good. And I think that it starts with a guy like that. Now, picking a quarterback to be your guy with the first pick, there's a ton of pressure on that. And I just like the way he held himself and carried himself through that whole season at Indiana. I don't think there was an interview he did that I saw that he didn't carry himself with great dignity, represented Indiana with incredible pride, and put the attention on his team. He never tried to take it himself. So I see this guy having strength as a player and strength mentally and emotionally, which is going to take to be great in that league.
I know we're keeping you way too long, but that just made me think here. You were probably, I believe you were on that staff, that 94-95 that had Mike Shanahan and Gary Kubiak, correct?
Yes, I was.
How crazy is it that they've got two boys now that are head coaches in the NFL?
I love it, man. I just love it because those were young bucks at the time. Those were like little ball boys running around. And Shanahan was a little bit older, but it's, there's so much of basketball, football, baseball is passing that love for the game on to your children. And for me right now, grandchildren, there's nothing I get more excitement out is watching my grandkids playing lacrosse in Utah. How about that? Football, basketball, a little softball, gymnastics, dance. And we love to pass it on. And I just, when I see their names, I think of their dads. And I think how great of people they were. And I can see how the acorn hasn't fallen far from the tree with those coaches. They're a little edgy. They're sharp. They don't take any guff, but they're intelligent. They connect well, and they're doing exceptionally well.
Awesome. Well, we can't thank you enough. We appreciate it. We know you got a lot of big things coming down the pipeline. Take it easy when those guys make mistakes, because I'm speaking of my history. So, when a guy does something dumb, just make sure they're like, hey, we still love you. You're going to be all right.
For sure.
And if you have access to records, don't check mine.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys are great.
You're the best.
I'm excited to be on the show early, and you give me a couple years, I'll jump back on.
All right, sounds good. We'll wait our time. It's all good. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom.
There he is.
Guys.
Tom Holmoe right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I spent way too much time in a mission president's office being like, okay, you did what? I'm like, it was Duke, North Carolina. I wanted to go to the game. I'm like, you shouldn't be doing that.
I had one of the cooler experiences toward the end of my mission. I got a call. It was the Final Four in the national championship game with UNLV against Duke.
Is that the championship or the semifinal?
It was the championship night.
Okay.
Yeah.
When they won by 30?
Yes.
Okay.
It was the blowout. And I got back to my apartment. My mission president knew how much I loved basketball. The great Frank Madsen from Salt Lake. The business school is named after his father, Francis Madsen. So anyway, I got a call, and I wasn't home, but he left a message, and he said, Elder Lacombe, this is President Madsen. We have a meeting tonight at my house. It's, I can't remember the time, 7, 8, with Brother Krzyzewski and Brother Tarkanian. Could you please come? And I went over there and watched the game with my mission president.
That's awesome.
That was pretty cool.
11:30, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. That's Tim Lacombe. I'm Scott Gerard. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to saddle up and talk about the winners and the losers. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, here's the good.
The news is already out there. Today I'm officially declaring for the 2026 NBA draft, but as y'all all know, there was not contribution, but my mom wanted me to stay in college for real to graduate. But I told my mother that I'm gonna declare for the draft, but I'm gonna finish and get my degree online. I'll probably finish within the next 4 years. I'm gonna stay at BYU, enroll in classes online. I'll probably major in mass communications. and just get my degree online because I wanted to make both of them happy. Obviously, their ultimate goal was for me to go to college for free.
Well, he'll never have to pay a dime for college. I'm sure BYU will continue to go ahead and foot that bill for him. So there you go. He is committing to the BYU online academic services, where he will be a 4-year, I don't know, whatever they call him.
Correspondent student.
Correspondent student, for sure. When you look at him going to the draft, number 1 pick, most likely, overall, just a fantastic kid, fantastic player. I think he's going to do remarkable things in the NBA. If he can put up those kind of numbers at the collegiate level with the space limitations, I can't imagine what he's going to do in the league.
He's got all the necessary tools, and I think the year with Kevin Young was really important because, Kevin addressed some of the things that he wanted to kind of coach out of AJ. Some of the responses and talking to the officials and things like that. He did such a great job, much like Tom talked about Fernando. Just every opportunity AJ had with the media, he handled it great. He definitely represented the school terrifically, and he shows the potential to be like perennial all-star in this league. I think the mass communication's smart. You go that direction so that you've always got a career waiting for you.
Well, I will say, it's good. That's a good thing for a professional athlete to have, because if you want to lean on a mass communication degree as your only source of income, you might be in trouble. But, if you're a high-level NBA player, you're going to be all right.
Yeah, if it's mass communications and that's where you start, then the road's a little different from at least my experience.
Is that what you got your degree in?
Yeah, Lloyd and I were in the same program.
Well, I knew you were in the same.
Mass comm.
I didn't know it was the same program. I knew you guys were in the same class.
Mass comm law, one of my favorite classes. What up, Dr. Vergobi?
Oh, comm law was tough.
Yeah,
it
that
was at
one
Utah
of the scariest
State.
classes I've ever been in. Yes.
My claim to fame is that I didn't get a good grade in it, but I got good enough to pass, and I only took it once. A lot of people, that drop date, people were dropping like flies in that class because they saw the way it was going.
We learned about libel.
Defamation.
Yes.
Defamation of character.
Yeah.
Sending out false information about things.
Let's just say the Professor Vergobi really liked when you would just like to meet with him and show that you cared.
You figured out the game?
Figured out the game. Absolutely.
I am
and
show
you and
that
I,
you care.
Like Worth loved us too. Craig Worth thought we were the cat's meow.
Well, we were. It was fun.
Well,
it was good times.
I will say, and I've told my kids this when they go to college is really not that hard. Like you can really navigate your way to get straight B's and have a decent GPA. All you got to do is show up and talk to your professor.
Absolutely. That's what it's about. That's what that was about.
Yeah, you don't necessarily need to buy the books. You don't need to do all this other crazy stuff. Sit in the front row, be there every day, and have a good relationship with your professor. You'd be fine.
Give the illusion that you're really trying.
Yes, absolutely.
Give that illusion.
Yeah.
I mean, try, but yeah.
Not too hard.
Not too hard. Not too hard. Don't get crazy.
And I try to tell my kids this. Each professor or teacher has their thing. So they all have something they like. And they all have something that they want from the student, and it's your job to figure it out.
Yeah.
And if you can figure those things out, and as you said, people are the secret sauce relationship.
I had
get through college.
I had a professor that was world renowned for being a pain in the butt, and I found out. I saw him once at the old student center, and he always had a Dr. Pepper in his hands, and every time I'd see him since, he would always have a Dr. Pepper. So, man, every time I went into his office, I had a 12-pack of Dr. Peppers ready to go for him. And he's like, oh, I actually really like Dr. I'm like, oh, you don't say. Well, here, I'll keep bringing them. And boom.
Good grade.
See, that guy was easy.
Nice. Didn't do that
right?
much.
You learned his thing.
And got an A in the class.
Absolutely.
What was your college GPA?
I don't know. It's funny you bring that up because I actually saw it the other day. I think it ended up being like a 3.1, 3.2, somewhere.
Yeah, in the threes somewhere.
Low threes, not high threes.
I had the benefit of going back at 36. So I was Rodney Dangerfield.
Wiser. And you were wiser, too,
And I knew how to approach it a little better. Cum laude.
No, really?
Cum laude.
Cum laude.
By the way, the missus, when she finished her master's degree.
Summa.
Yeah, not a single B on that transcript. All A's.
Summa cum laude.
Yes.
You weren't Summa, huh?
No, I was not Summa.
Oh,
I
man.
missed Summa by mere points, just fractional points.
Was it a certain class with a project that was also with Lloyd, and Lloyd didn't hold up his end of the bargain?
Oh, come on. That one, that was an A.
No, Lloyd got me through that class.
Yeah, we made it. We did it.
We did it.
Okay.
I give him a ton of credit.
All right.
By a ton of credit, like none. No. I'm being serious. Like, trust me, that one I tried to coast through as much as possible.
Yeah, but you were great. You were the glue.
You were a glue guy?
Yeah, I don't know about that, but okay.
I was a star, of course.
Yeah.
I was the guy out there killing people for no reason.
All right, there's your good. Let's get to the bad.
Now the bad.
All right, another win for Oklahoma City last night. Phoenix none too happy about it. Devin Booker goes off on the, again, preferential treatment they think that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is getting in not only the playoffs, but throughout the last year or so.
Still haven't got one. It's definitely something that has to be looked into. I heard Caruso tell him to call the tech, and he ended up doing it. So that's one ref. In my 11 years, I haven't called a ref out by name, but James was terrible tonight, through and through. It's bad for the sport, bad for the integrity of the sport. People are going to start viewing this as a WWE, if they're not held responsible.
Similar thing for you on the offensive foul with Caruso, where you didn't get an explanation there either?
Yeah, and then the very next play, it said unnatural shooting motion that hit Caruso, but Caruso's moving forward on that. If that's an unnatural shooting motion compared to what guys are doing to get fouls nowadays, like, you can play them side by side, and, I'll let you guys be the judge. Like, pull the clips, run it back. I'm surprised this is happening on national TV in playoff games. It's hard. It just feels disrespectful. I know I haven't won a championship in this league, but I have been in it for 11 years now. To get to this point, to be treated like that, for me to even be saying something out loud, it's bad.
Done something? I mean, have you ever? I don't think I can recall you talking about the officials.
Yeah, it's my first time in 11 years, but it's needed. Like I said, whatever I get fined for, everybody can pull the clips and see where the frustration comes from.
Yeah, he's not happy. And Devin Booker, you can say what you want about Booker. He doesn't really go off on. He doesn't complain a lot. Now, there's certain things that he'll say, but to his credit, he doesn't usually go off the mic like that. And he certainly was none too pleased.
No, and he went right to the name, which you don't see players do. I would imagine the fine will be hefty for that piece. I've only been a part of one other one of those. We played at Rhode Island when I was at University of Utah, and we just got, it was literally 15 degrees below zero out there in the middle of winter. There was nearly no one at the game. Nobody necessarily cared about the game. And these officials, it was a road job. We got really road jobbed. And so after the game, Ray goes in, and he has the box score. And at the bottom of the box score, it always prints the referees' names out. So he grabs it, and he says, first of all, I want to thank and he reads the three names. I remember DJ Carstensen, because the minute that it came out of his mouth, I knew we were in big trouble. But he read all three of them. So you go to that level, yeah, you're going to get fined pretty good. Ray got a reprimand, I think, is all at the time. But I think Devin's got a point, and it goes back to, if you watch this league, people were saying the same thing about Jabbar, and they were saying the same thing about Michael Jordan, and they've said the same thing about LeBron. Is there preferential treatment? And if you watch some of the clips, you have to think it does matter who is doing it. They are respecters of persons in the NBA. And I think that's what's frustrating to Devin Booker. He's like, I've been here 11 years. I've put up crazy numbers. I haven't won a championship, but give me some respect. And the one that really set him off, a ball was going out of bounds, and he ran and saved it behind his back to try to save it in bounds, and it hit Caruso in the face. Didn't even know Caruso was there. And Caruso turns to the official and said, hey, and they give him a T. So I do think, you talk about the NBA, you talk about the officials, you talk about the way the leagues run. There are things they need transparently to fix. And this Oklahoma City thing, I think it's being a little bit overblown because they're so good. But you watch some of those clips last night, I can see where Booker's frustrated.
Well, and he went on to say, and it was Dylan Brooks that said this, that he wants officials to have their own post-game press conference, which I am
I've always said
1,000%
that.
on board with that.
Always said that. If you want to be a part of the game, and some of these guys, they want to be the part of the game,
Yes.
then you should talk afterwards.
Yeah. None of this, one guy assigned the pool reporter and he gets 2 questions. No, that's not accountability. You need to have them up there and get peppered by the crew. And if there is an issue, if they do make a mistake, the NBA just quietly makes you go away for a couple weeks. Like, you just won't see a ref for a couple weeks because he's been suspended, but nobody will say anything about it. And look, if coaches and players have their name, their reputation, everything on the line, night in and night out, these officials should be as well.
Well, and I've always said that. It goes back to those 2-minute reports. What good do they do?
No, nothing.
All they do is make you more mad. Like, well, there was a foul. We didn't call it. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, so what? Why do you even write it? We all saw you miss the call. And if you're going to do it in the last 2 minutes, that's always been my funny. You see now just how many, with challenges, how many times they're wrong with out of bounds and those types of things. I mean, we lived through that era where play on, my guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was off his hand, but we're going the other way, and there's nothing you can do about it. And so, look, man, officials are great, and they're a huge part of the game. Most of them, 75, 80, 90% of them are great. There are 10% that really give the others a bad name, and most of it is ego-driven. They want to be part of the game.
I've actually talked to coaches on the other side of it too, where they're the better team, higher conference standings, and they're like, we got the calls tonight. We got the whistles. Like,
for sure.
They knew that they were helped out a little bit because they were the better team. They're nationally ranked. They're highly thought of, and it's better for the league if they keep winning. And they're like, there was one game in particular where I talked to Coach afterwards. He's like, yeah, we were, they took care of us tonight.
Yeah, you're on the good side, you're on the bad side. But the bottom line is in this situation, it's another instance where a team feels like they're getting a fair shake. There's not equity. It's almost like finding one team that's tanking $500,000 after an entire league's done it for 6 years.
But honestly, if you were to worry about what's more damaging to the reputation of the NBA and the, quote, integrity of the game, this to me is far of a bigger issue than tanking is.
Oh,
is
100%.
Is a fan base that feels like they've lost a game before it ever begins because Shea's going to get 15 trips to the free throw line. And there's nothing we can do about it. And we're not going to get that call on the other end. If you're really, truly worried about the fans and the integrity of the game, like Adam Silver blathered about at the All-Star game in terms of the Jazz tanking, that's what you need to address. That's what he's right. People are starting to feel like and have felt like for a long time that the NBA is scripted, that it's a WWE match, and who the NBA wants to win will win, and you just have to buck up and deal with it. And that will drive away fans way faster than any kind of tanking that may be going on.
Yeah, that has been, honestly, my entire lifetime. That's been the people that basically say, okay, I'm done. They get to the point where, the Jazz never move up in the draft lottery. When does math, like Ryan said, when does math? And so, they do. The integrity piece has far less to do, I think, with competition and way more to do with transparency and inner workings of the league.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, coming up today, Jake and Ben, you're going to want to keep listening. 3:05, you're going to hear from Austin Ainge. Also, Andre Tierney, head coach of the Mammoth, will join the show at 4:05. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The Jazz, the Mammoth, and the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies. When it comes to sports in Utah, we've got you covered. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LeCaux, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
We should probably, maybe listen a little bit more. When it started, I'm like, oh, Lord, you're going to bring us in pretty quick here, right? Right. Anyway. Blink 182, yes or no?
Yeah, they're okay. I'm not going to, dive into them hardcore, but I like that song. I like some of their stuff.
It's a little ear candy.
Yeah. Mowing the lawn.
Yeah.
Giving you a little pep. I got to do everything. I get up in the morning and I don't have, any special other than my phone, but I have a little ledge above the shower. Put it up there, put something on. I got to have music the minute I start my day.
There you go. And does it? All right. So is it like a mood thing then? Like when it hits you? Because I know you're not like dialed into like one or two bands. Like you're going to listen to everything.
Yeah, the morning has to be comfortable, So I just go into my wheelhouse, some cake. Cake's always a good morning thing. Not too, there's nothing to it. Just
you don't want to get that adrenaline rush right out of the gate. You want to ramp up.
Yeah, you're not going with Screaming for Vengeance from Judas Priest right out of the gate. You got to let things build a bit. But then when you do play that one, it'll blow your head off.
There you go.
Big time.
That's what we play, 20 minutes before the show.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So coming up next hour, we're going to talk a little NFL draft. Fired up to chat with good friend of the program, Josh Edwards, CBS Sports. So we'll talk draft with him. Steve Bartle, Ute Insider. Could be a big day for some Ute offensive linemen. He'll join us coming up at 12:30. And then at 1:05, president of Real Salt Lake, John Kimball, will join us. No, it's not a tumor. It's just John Kimball, the president of the... That's that show, right? That was Kindergarten Cop?
Yes.
John Kimball? Okay.
I don't think we've ever thrown that at him.
No, and we probably shouldn't.
No.
He probably had a lot of that.
I'm sure.
This is where I'm going to be bad.
Detective John Kimball.
Yeah.
I'm not a movie.
It's not a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
Oh, really? You're not a movie guy?
So you guys have to educate me some. That wasn't on the resume. I didn't feel like I
that's
needed
okay.
to share
I only
that.
assumed.
Yeah, I mean, you were in a movie class with our
Yeah,
guy.
I know. I thought you were a movie guy.
Well, I like that one. No,
well, apparently we have homework for our guy, Senior Napolis, and Tim Lacombe.
I bet you've watched him. You're just not you're just not a quote
never
machine.
seen Kindergarten Cop in my life.
You're not really missing anything, but
give me
but
something
you kind
else.
of are because
What's
it's kind of
one
a
that I
cult
should
classic.
see?
All right. Short Circuit?
No.
No Disassemble?
I've heard the promo plenty.
Oh.
Never Ending Story.
Okay, yeah, I'm not a big fan
I saw that
of
one.
that.
I took a girl on a date to that one back in the day.
Yeah.
So you went to movies. You were just
not Short Circuit
doing
though.
things
here and there. Like I just barely watched with my wife. Breakfast Club. I'd never even seen Breakfast Club before.
16 Candles?
No. If he hasn't seen Breakfast
Donger
Club, he
Needs
hasn't seen...
Food.
Yeah, there we go.
Donger Needs Food.
Okay.
All right.
I have seen that one.
So yeah, we got some homework to do.
Yeah, give me a list. I'll jump in. I'll catch up.
I'm
a little of a bit of a project apparently.
The Godfather. Have you seen The Godfather?
Oh yeah, I've seen all the Godfathers.
Okay.
That's like my Bible.
Well,
actually.
and I think
that's the way I live.
Ray Giacoletti would have made you watch those because I know he was a big Godfather guy.
Big mafia guy. Right? You got to run your deal like the mafia. Just be good to everybody unless they cross you.
And then it's go time.
Don't cross.
Then you're swimming with the fishes.
Yeah.
Don't send me in the wrong parking garage.
No. Then all of a sudden you got a horse head you're waking up to lying next to you in the bed. That's no bueno.
Luca Brazzi swims with the fishes.
High noon, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Josh Edwards joins us next. CBS Sports right here on the Zone.
Now at McDonald's, a McDouble is $2.50, so you can get your gym gains on, or just get lunch for only $2.50. Get more value on the under $3 menu.
Limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher for delivery.
For a small business owner, every day is full of surprises. Some great, some not so great. Like when a client cancels their order at the last minute. But here's a surprise you will like. Progressive provides small business owners with 30 customizable coverage options to help keep their business going strong. So go ahead, surprise yourself. Get a quote in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and third-party insurers. Coverage is not available in all states or for all vehicles and coverage selections.